Back for segment 2 of the Chris Richman Show for Thursday, May 15th, 2025. Let's get going on it because, again, as always lately, holy cow, lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about. I changed a couple things real quick. Update. I know you guys may or may not care about this. That's fine. I do. I changed where the location of instead of doing side by side, I kind of made it a picture in picture. I'm the smaller part, obviously, and then you can see my screen. This last one, the second segment for yesterday it'll be in the center, and then going forward, it's going to be off to the left, kind of like more conventional split screens. And the reason why is because I was trying to do a thing where I had my X feed on one side and my Apple News feed on the other. And it worked, but it wasn't quite the way I wanted it to be. So, yeah, I think this will work better. Give me feedback. If you guys hear this, let me see what you think. You know what I mean? So, okay. Let's do several quick hits real quick here. Just because, these are sort of updates. So first off, let's go and talk about the NFA again. There was a rumor going around yesterday, and it was pretty pervasive in the two-way community, that Silencer Central, which has made its name on being able to deliver silencers right to your door. They have their own line of suppressors, banished suppressors, they call them. And their big thing is since they are the manufacturer, they could do a Form 4 straight away with the ATF and have it delivered, literally mailed right to your door. Well, here's the thing. Rumor got out that they were lobbying Congress to keep the NFA, keep suppressors on the NFA. And as you can imagine, that went over like a lead balloon. It did not go over well at all. And so they put out this statement today. It says, we are not lobbying against the HPA. Let's go ahead and read this real quick here. Silencer Central has consistently and publicly stated our strong support for enactment of the Hearing Protection Act. Additionally, we strongly support any viable legislative proposals which would enhance or expand the ability of our customers to exercise their constitutional rights to purchase, possess, and legally use suppressors. We are not lobbying against the Hearing Protection Act. Okay, but they have said, and it's quoted right here, they are paying lobbyists to develop and support suppressor tax stamp conservation legislation. So here's the thing. When you read this is very clever. Very clever. And I'm disappointed in Silencer Central. I am extremely disappointed in them, by the way, because they're not denying that they are working against removing suppressors from the NFA. They're not denying it. Read the thing. Strongly support any viable legislative proposals which would enhance or expand the ability of our customers to exercise their constitutional rights, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that means if the tax stamp is $5, or even if there is no tax stamp, they're still going to be there. You still have to file paperwork. Silencer Central still gets to keep that. Now, Silencer Shop, who I buy my suppressors through generally, not always, but most of the time, they have come out very strongly. They want them off. They want suppressors off of the National Firearms Act. They're one of those people. So let me kind of relate this to something. Maybe you'll get a little better here. I used to have a job where I was in water quality and environmental stuff. So basically, I made sure the water was clean in an irrigation project, the Columbia Basin irrigation project here. So people would ask me, well, do you like your job? You know, are you enjoying it? And I says, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I said, This is a job which I would gladly give up if it were no longer necessary, because common sense broke out and we realized how stupid some of these environmental regulations are. And I'd always get this kind of perplexed, like, what the heck are you talking about? Look, are you crazy? You're getting paid. At the time, it was fairly well. Are you out of your mind? And I'd say, look, here's the thing. If I had to give up my job, if my job was eliminated because the talent irrigation system or talent irrigation decision was overturned, or something like that, where we realized how stupid some of these environmental regulations are, and as a result, they had to cut my position, I would be 100% fine with that. I said it would be for the betterment of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. I would be totally fine with that. That's not a big deal to me. And the way I see it, that's what Silencer Shop is doing here. Would they take a hit because they wouldn't be able to make the $50? They charge $50 to do, which, by the way, this wouldn't be affected because the Short Act isn't on there. But in order to, so you guys saw this last segment if you were watching the video. So this is a registered SBR, okay, and has a suppressor on it. Okay, so that's a 2-stamp gun right there. Okay, so, and I actually got the suppressor through Silencer Shop as well. Anyway, so they charge $50, a $50 fee to do the Form 1, which I'm fine for. I had no problem with that whatsoever. It's filed electronically. It's done properly. It's reviewed by a legal expert, or someone who is very knowledgeable with the ATF process for doing Form 1s, so it gets done right the first time. I have zero problem paying the $50 for that. I really don't. I don't have a problem with that at all. And that Form 1 make tax, okay, that's the $200 tax they charge there, the SOT tax. Or the SOT collects that tax and then forwards it on to ATF. That would not be affected because they left the Short Act is still there. So they would take a hit on their suppressor sales, though, okay, because they charge $5 for the tax stamp, okay, to put the tax stamp on there. So that's $5 of pure profit that they wouldn't be getting. Well, their thing, I think, is this. And they've been doing free tax stamps on a lot of stuff lately, just because to get people buying more suppressors, because they make a margin on that too. So their thought process, at least I think, is okay, we will support removing suppressors entirely from the NFA, because in the end, people are going to remember that and they're going to come to us for their Form 1s, their make things. Again, that's a $50 fee, pure profit. Okay. So mostly, they do pay people to look at it, but there's no good, there's no physical thing behind that. So they'll come to us for their SBRs and SBSs, AOWs, whatever it is, and they'll buy their suppressors from us because, hopefully they take it off entirely. If they do, that's great. Whoop-de-doo. But if they don't, if this doesn't go as far as it should, and it still gets down to zero tax, Silencer Shop loses nothing. They lose nothing. But by supporting taking it off, people are going to remember that part. That's what they're going to remember, and they're going to go there. Silencer Central, on the other hand, just shot itself in the foot. And even if it's not true, the fact that got out, and if, they're paying lobbyists to keep suppressors on the NFA registration, they're screwed. They're in serious trouble. Big trouble, because that's how they make money. So now people are going to go, these guys sold us out. It's like Dick's Sporting Goods. I saw somewhere they're going to buy Foot Locker. I won't shop in a Foot Locker then. I won't, because Dick's Sporting Goods pissed on the entire Second Amendment community. a couple of years ago, for those of you who don't know the story. They decided, this was during Obama, I think. They decided they weren't going to carry firearms anymore. And so instead of taking those firearms and selling them to another retailer, okay, transferring them over, just getting rid of them, or sending them back to whatever distributor they got them from, no, they destroyed them. At least that's what they said they did. Wow, you want to piss off an entire community real fast like that. I will not set foot in Dick's again. Not if I have anything to say about it. I won't shop online there. No. And in the rare time when I do go in, it's usually because I'm with a family member or a friend who wants to go in and look at something. And I tell them flat out, I'm like, hey, I'll go in with you, but I'm not buying anything. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not keen on you going in here either. And here's why. And, you know, if they don't know me. And some of them say, hey, man, I get it, but they're the only people that have this, or it's a really good buy and I need this, you know, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fair enough. But as far as I can and as much as I can, I will keep money from going into Dick's as much as possible. I don't like those guys. And like I said, I think they're a bunch of sellouts. My opinion. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see where this goes. Silencer Central is scrambling to cover themselves on this. It's not going to go well. I'll be honest with you. They are up a creek without a paddle. They're screwed. All right, next quick hit. FBI. Kash Patel tweeted this out. The FBI, he says, I can now confirm reports that our FBI teams and partners foiled an attempted ISIS attack on one of our U.S. military bases in Warren, Michigan. The individual, Amar Abdul Mahid Mohammed Saeed. Wonder what he follows. Wonder which individual he follows. Plotted a mass shooting at the U.S. Army's Tank Automatic and Armaments Command, TACOM, facility before undercover law enforcement officers obtained information of his plans. Saeed was arrested this week and will now face charges of supporting a foreign terrorist organization, amongst others. Our agents, intelligence teams, and partners acted quickly, and they saved lives. Well done to all on executing the mission. See, and that's good. I like that. Same with Dan Bongino tweeting stuff out. I love that stuff. That's good stuff. You need to have that. You need to have that praise go out. You need to let the people know about wins. The CIA, you know, oh, well, we've had a lot of wins, but we can't let it out because of A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, I'm there. I get it. You need security. You need this stuff, that stuff, all that, and the other. But at the same time, if you get your wins out there, maybe you won't have such a negative reaction. People won't view you so negatively. I'm just saying. All right. Next up. So this is sad. We talked about how Spokane, which is a large city here in eastern Washington, about between Spokane and Spokane Valley, probably 400,000 people. So Spokane's probably like 250 population-wise. Spokane Valley's about like 150, maybe 200. So the greater Spokane area is maybe 600,000. So anyway, they had a Republican, quote-unquote, mayor, and I think she decided not to run again, and so they elected a Democrat. And Nadine Woodward, the former Republican mayor, and again, I use air quotes, she was a rhino, to say the least, moderate Republican. Anyway, this Lisa Brown gal they elected is a diehard wacko lib. And apparently this council member, Paul Dillon. So Spokane has gone left. Spokane County is purple at best right now. And it's sad because there's a lot of people in Spokane County that are not liberal at all, but a bunch of liberals are coming from Seattle over to Spokane, or from California up to Spokane. And you've seen the effects of this over the past 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. The number of homeless has gotten bad, really bad. The drug use, horrible. Human trafficking has gotten really bad. Gang violence, all this stuff that's Seattle, Yakima, it's in Spokane now. So bad stuff, bad all around. And Unfortunately, it seems to be getting worse because guess what? Now, if you haven't read the screen yet, they've signed a bill that's allowing child mutilation. And let's hear what this sounds like because it's bad.
Mayor Lisa Brown here. I'm very excited to sign this ordinance that demonstrates that in Spokane we all belong. Councilmember Paul Dillon, what is the ordinance?
Okay, demonstrates that we all belong because we didn't before. You know, before in Spokane, if you were not a white male heterosexual Christian of some sort, you know, you didn't belong. You weren't welcomed. You never got a fair shake. That's the kind of stupidity that statement says. It always cracks me up. Well, we just signed a piece of legislation that welcomes everybody. So they weren't welcome before? Because I'm pretty sure I remember going to school at Eastern Washington University, which is in Spokane County, and going down to see my friends in Pullman, which is it's in Whitman County, Pullman is, but still, and going into Spokane and shopping and all that stuff. And I remember seeing a whole lot of Hispanics and Asians and Americans of African descent, Black Americans, I just call them. It's better that way, I think. But Black, Asian, and Hispanic Americans all over the place. No one said a thing. Wasn't a big deal. Hell, 2 doors down from me in my dorm room were 2 football players. That was my freshman or sophomore year, I think it was. No one cared. Literally no one cared. It wasn't a big deal. No one gave a rip. There was a same-sex attracted group on campus. You know, I didn't know any of them, frankly. Didn't care. You know, I probably had met some of them. And again, I didn't care. Who cares? They didn't push it. I didn't, you know, but there certainly wasn't child mutilation or anything like that. But again, it goes back to, well, so anybody who wasn't, again, white, male, straight, Christian, whatever, they weren't welcome in Spokane before? That's news to me.
About to sign.
Yeah, this ordinance will strengthen and affirm protections for LGBTQ plus communities in Spokane, and it really sends a powerful message of inclusivity and love in Spokane.
Great.
Now she fakes signing something. That's not the real paperwork. Come on, guys. This is about as scripted and stupid as I've ever seen. So they're super happy about the same-sex attracted and so-called transgender types, even though there's no such thing as transgender. But by God, they're all about child mutilation. I mean, that's what they're getting at there. You're taking another step down that road, and no one seems to care. And it's just, like I said, it's another step Spokane's taking in the direction of, ooh, wow, look at us. We're tolerant, supposedly. Even though if you are, I guarantee you, if these folks, if you looked at them and asked them, well, how many people in your cabinet have differing views, you know, on firearms? What have you done to reach out to the firearm community, the 2A community? Oh, well, we don't deal with them. What about voters who are more conservative? Well, they're just a bunch of wrong-minded bigots. That's where this is going. Let's listen to that just one more time. It's 30 seconds.
Mayor Lisa Brown here. I'm very excited to sign this ordinance that demonstrates that in Spokane we all belong. Councilmember Paul Dillon, what is the ordinance I'm about to sign?
Yeah, this ordinance will strengthen and affirm protections for LGBTQ plus communities in Spokane, and it really sends a powerful message of inclusivity and love in Spokane.
So again, I guess my question is were they not welcome in Spokane initially up until this point? Because again, I never saw that. I never even thought about that. And I'm willing to bet you didn't either. So talk about performative and kind of, you know, useless per se. wow, this is it. Okay. Last quick hit. Well, not so quick hit, I guess. We're at, 20 minutes. You know what? Let's take a music break, and we'll come back and we'll do this next small hit, and then we'll head over into some other news. All right, we'll be right back. We'll do some music real quick here. Back for more on the Chris Richman Show. Let's get back into it here. So, Ayanna Pressley, and if you're watching the video, you can see what this woman looks like. Ayanna Pressley is a black woman. She is a representative. I can't remember what state she's from, but bald. She shaved her head. So if you thought the, what is it, the Dora Milaje or whatever it is, gosh, I can't remember, from the Black Panther films. If you think about the Dora from the Black Panther films, that's kind of an Ayanna Pressley, except she has stupid fake eyelashes, which I don't understand that trend, but that's just me. Ayanna Pressley, this is from End Wokeness, by the way, on X. Ayanna Pressley is talking about reparations here. This is a 17-second clip. Let's hear what kind of racist comments she has here.
And discrimination against black people. We are in a moment of anti-blackness on steroids, and we refuse to be silent. We will not back down in our pursuit of racial justice. The antidote to...
Okay, so as usual, and if you're watching the video, you are seeing this. She is not even looking at the crowd when she's saying this. Not even looking at it. She is like this. She is looking down at the podium, reading off of a prepared script. I mean, I apologize for people watching the video because, you just had the sunlight reflect off of my head, probably blinded you for a couple of minutes there. Apologies. Anyway, but she cannot read this. She has no real buy-in to this. I'm going to reset it real quick here. She has no real buy-in to this. If she did, she wouldn't need a script to read this or to communicate this. She'd already have it done. It'd be up here in her head, right? But she doesn't. So let's hear this again.
And discrimination against black people. We are in a moment of anti-blackness on steroids, and we refuse to be silent. We will not back down in our pursuit of racial justice. The antidote to anti-blackness is to be pro-black, and we will do it unapologetically. The United States government owes us a debt, and we need reparations now.
Oh, gosh. Okay. There's so many things wrong with this. So very many things wrong with this. Okay, first of all, United States government doesn't owe you a damn thing. It doesn't. If we're going to talk about Ayanna Pressley and all the people in this video, okay, back behind there talking about, reparations for Black America, blah, 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 blah. Okay, first of all, none of the people on that screen, there's 5 people there. There are 5 people there, rather. Looks like 4 women, if you count Pressley, and 1 man. None of those people has ever, at all, in the United States, been a slave. Never. If they're from a foreign country, and they came over here, they immigrated over here, hopefully legally, maybe in another country, maybe, but they have never been slaves. Okay? Also, none of them have ever owned slaves. None of the people in the audience, none of the people watching this in the United States have ever owned slaves. Now, I will say this, what the Doge people found about, people that were taking Social Security benefits that were 200 and some years old, 320, I think it was in one case, they might have, assuming those are actual people and they're alive, which would be creepy. Maybe they're vampires. I don't know. But no real people, no living people have owned slaves. I haven't. Ayanna Pressley's never been a slave. So there's that. Secondly, I find it thirdly, I guess, I find it hilarious that the woman who is supposedly arguing for these reparations, I wonder what Ayanna Pressley's net worth is. What do you think? I'm betting it's in the six figures, probably even in the sevens. Just guessing. I wonder if we could find out that. What is Ayanna Pressley net worth 2025? Let's see. And they'll estimate. It's not going to be, let's see here. Estimated net worth, blah, 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 blah. I don't buy that. Okay. What is Ayanna Pressley's net worth? According to her 2023 financial disclosure report, Ayanna Pressley's net worth is between 140. I don't know why they put the larger number first. Nobody does that. Between 140,000 and 6.5 million. Okay, so I'm going to guess it's higher, in the higher area. And here's why. She probably has income that she's not reporting. Now, and I'm not saying she's doing that illegally. I am saying that it is she probably has stakes in things that could get her money if she needed it very quickly. So it's not liquid per se, and it's probably done on the side. And I'm not going to be accusatory on that, because I know a lot of people who do that, who have investments on the side that aren't reported. Okay. So I'm not going to try and, start throwing stones and throwing spears when I've got a whole forest of logs sticking out of my eyes. That won't happen. Anyway, the point is I'm willing to bet she is doing just fine, which she wouldn't be able to do if she was a slave. Okay. Now, as for reparations, the last time any black person was officially a slave in this country would have probably been these people's maybe great-grandparents, maybe I would guess probably more great-great-grandparents or great-great-great-grandparents, assuming that be the case. Now, also, not every black person has a slave in their history. Some people came over as free men and women. Some people came over after the Civil War. So I guess my question is let's just say that we did do reparations. How would we do that? And why would we want to take money from people who have never owned slaves? Because again, how are you going to say this person is guilty of slavery how do you prove that someone owned a slave? I can tell you right now, by the time my great-grandfather got to the United States, the Civil War was over. It was post-war. He came here antebellum. He never owned slaves, ever. And are we going to have reparations for Irish Americans? Because they were slaves too. I don't know. So do I need to pay part of that? Do I need to pay for reparations even though I never owned slaves and no one in my family ever did? You see where this gets tricky, right? It's a horrible, horrible idea. And of course, that's why Ayanna Pressley supports it, is because it is a stupid, stupid idea. Anyway, but the whole reparations thing is idiotic. I mean, talk about a scam. They pay her to be involved in this just so they can say, well, look, she's involved. Yeah. She's a grifter, just like every other one of them. Okay. All right, let's shift over to some other topics here. And boy, are there lots of them. Apple. This is not in the deal here, so you don't need to really look at the screen per se. Apple has released the next generation of CarPlay. It's going to be available. It's already available in the 2025 model Aston Martins. That's the first cars that are going to have it, but it's called CarPlay Ultra. And basically, this will essentially, it'll make your whole dashboard customizable based on what the manufacturer allows, and it it takes the CarPlay experience even further. Spreads it out to the instrument panel, spreads it out through a lot of things. So it's really cool. And I'm excited about it. They previewed this a couple of years ago, actually. Hinted it was coming, and then it kind of just went off into the weeds. And that was unfortunate. So a lot of people just assumed, well, okay, that was actually the Apple Car. They were previewing the Apple Car, and since they got rid of the Apple Car, they're not going to do it anymore. Well, no, they just wanted to dial it in a little bit. And so here it is. I'm not going to waste time showing it to you because, frankly, it's better to see for yourself. But if you put into Google Apple CarPlay Ultra, it'll bring up articles about it. And it's, like I said, it's pretty cool. I can't wait to see it on some of the vehicles out there. I am extremely disappointed in Chevy. Supposedly they got rid of Apple CarPlay and Google CarPlay, or Google whatever it's called, the Apple and Google ones, because, well, it's for safety. No, it's not for safety. It's because you guys want a bigger slice of the pie. You didn't like paying Apple to license the software to be on your cars. That's why you got rid of it. Be honest about it. Because guess what? Ford and Dodge haven't had a problem with it. Stellantis, whatever they call it. Neither any of the Japanese or Korean brands or German brands. None of them have had a problem. French brands, right? So you're the only one that's had an issue with it? That seems sketchy, doesn't it? Just saying. All right. Now, tweak this down just a little bit right there. That's better. So go ahead and have a look for that. All right. I meant to get to this the other day, guys. I did. And I didn't. And it's a big story, and it's something that I am very passionate about. And that is the subject of Pete Rose. Now, Rob Manfred made a good decision. He made a very good decision. And he lifted the ban on Pete Rose, and he went one step further. And this makes me insanely happy. He lifted the ban on Shoeless Joe Jackson and the Black Sox scandal. Basically, he gave them a pardon. Hallelujah. Now, of course, the baseball purists are having a cow over this. And Bart Giamatti's kid calls it a dark day for baseball. Why? Because your dad was a jackass? And I don't say that. I know, and I'm not trying to disrespect the dead. But Bart Giamatti, when he made that decision, it was absolute crap. I remember when that happened. I was in my teens. But I was like, are you kidding me? You're banning Pete Rose, the greatest hitter in the game. Seriously? Are you out of your mind? And again, it was for stuff that wasn't even related to when he was playing. And, so here's the thing. This is, we'll talk about Rose first, and then we'll go into Shoeless Joe. But the whole thing with Pete Rose is, well, he was gambling. Yeah, he was betting. He was, and he admitted it years back. But he was betting that his own team. This was when he was a manager, by the way, not a player, a manager. He was betting that his team would win. It wasn't even that his team would lose. He wasn't betting against his team. He was betting for them. 1 second, guys. You all watch it on the screen here. My phone's going to die. Didn't see the battery indicator until it was too late, which is annoying. There we go. Okay, so, yeah, he was betting for his team. I mean, this would be like me saying, if I was, let me put it this way. It'd be like Tom Cruise putting a bet out that this new Mission Impossible film coming out is going to make at least $500 million. That would be the same thing. Placing a bet in Vegas. And I mean, he wouldn't get odds for that because, of course, it'll make $500 million. It'll make $500 million by the end of its first month or its first 2 weeks. Anyway, but let's just say he did. It'd be like him going out and saying, okay, this is I'm going to lay you odds. I'll bet in, I'll place a bet. Give me 5-1 odds that it makes $500 million. And I would say probably, $1 billion. So he lays out and says, okay, I'm going to put in $1 million and I'll get $5 million back if the film makes $1 billion. Let's say that's the same thing. Now, yeah, it was not allowed. So my thing was this: okay, great. He banned him from being, from playing or being involved in baseball. In that he cannot be actively involved in terms of coaching, in terms of playing. Again, now he could consult, because it's Pete Rose, for God's sakes. They're going to find a way to bring him in, either officially or unofficially. He's going to be involved, or he would have been. But you banned the man. And here's the thing. And Giamatti left it open, and no, we're going to do this, and then ignored him, totally ignored him, and it was just a complete cluster. This whole thing was such a joke, and it again, ridiculous. The fact that you banned the greatest hitter of all time, no debate on that. Nobody hit like Pete Rose. And I say that being an enormous Tony Gwynn and Edgar Martinez fan. Loved both those guys. Tony Gwynn, that man could hit like crazy. But he couldn't hit like Pete Rose. Nope. So, good. Now, going on to the Black Sox. It's funny. They said they bet to throw the game, and yet Shoeless Joe Jackson had an incredibly good World Series. And it just, the whole thing always stunk to me. There was something about it that didn't make sense. So even there, okay, you made a mistake. That shouldn't whitewash your entire career. Okay. That should not take away from what you accomplished up until that point. It's like the same thing with, we're not gonna put Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire into the Hall of Fame. Why? No offense. Why? Here's the thing. You have to hit the ball. You know how hard it is to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball? To say nothing of curveballs, sliders, splitters, balls that are thrown over 90 miles an hour up into the hundreds. Do you know how hard it is to not only hit the ball, but to hit it over the fence, to get a home run out of it? Do you know how hard that is? It's insanely hard. And again, you have to hit it perfectly. Oh, well, but you're stronger. They had more muscle mass. Okay, fine. And so did a whole lot of other people. That was common at the time. If it wasn't for the fact that it was common, then fine. But here's the thing. Aaron Judge, they say, well, McGwire would have never hit that many home runs. Neither would Bonds without that. Okay, so Aaron Judge getting the American League record, what was that, 2-3 years ago now? 4 years ago? He wasn't juicing, so to speak, and he still did it. So you're telling me it's impossible. Mark McGwire, who's a damn good hitter, by the way, couldn't have done that. And Barry Bonds, again, another very good hitter. Now, did Bonds, did they maybe juice? Possibly. Probably did. But again, you still have to hit the ball. So I've always found that argument a little stupid. So anyway, I'm glad they're back. I hope the sports writers put both of them in the Hall of Fame where they should be. Joe Jackson and Pete Rose belong in the Hall of Fame, especially Pete Rose. It is completely unacceptable to me that Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame, and arguably Joe Jackson too, I would say. So, my opinion. But like I said, I come at that having looked into the issue quite a bit. Anyway, let's see here. Talked about Petey. Isn't it weird? This is another strange thing. Does anybody honestly think that we are not being attacked? Cyber attacks? Anybody believe that we are not being cyber attacked in our airports? First, you had Newark. What was that? Monday? Saturday? something like that. I can't remember when it was. And then today, where was that? Today, they shut down DIA, Denver International Airport, because I think 20 pilots, they couldn't reach 20 pilots. Does anybody honestly think that's just an error? Or do you think, which I can't imagine you wouldn't think this, that, gee, maybe the timing is a little bit too coincidental and they're doing this to try and get to Trump through the Doge thing? Because notice, we didn't have this problem until they started talking about Doge and how they were going to make the government, more efficient, cut the fat. All of a sudden, we're having all these problems at these airports. Well, isn't that just weird? I find it ridiculous that anybody doesn't look at this and go, come on, guys. And for me, I would be, if I were President Trump, I would say, hey, so it's interesting. Newark had issues 4 days ago. I'm looking at the article here. And weirdly enough, we just had a problem with DIA. So here's the thing. Anybody that is found to be complicit in causing these problems, in terms of if you are doing this intentionally, we're going to come after you with everything we've got, and we're going to actually charge you with attempted murder. Watch how quickly those will stop, these problems at these airports. Watch. Because then stuff gets serious. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's talk. Oh, this is just delicious. So remember that judge in, what was it, in Wisconsin, who sent the illegal immigrant out the back? Yeah, she has been, and they were trying to cover it up. Yeah, she's been indicted. Federal grand jury indicted her, and she pled innocent, or not guilty, rather. Excuse me. But yeah, they're gonna take this gal down, and I'm excited about it. It's about time. And kind of going along with that, right now the Supreme Court is hearing arguments about these district judges, these out of control district judges. And guess what? To the surprise of,
I found some web results. I can show them if
be
you
quiet.
log again from your iPhone.
Hey Siri, be quiet. So, sorry. Apologies. I shouldn't be mad. Even if it's an AI, I don't need to say that. That was inappropriate. Anyway. So where was I? Oh, yes. So big surprise. Ketanji Brown Jackson has no idea what the hell she's doing. Not a clue. Well, gosh, I wish I could find it here. Let's see here. They actually had a soundbite of it. Maybe it was on Instagram. I don't know. Anyway, she was asking the dumbest questions. And then, to the surprise again of absolutely no one, here comes Amy Coney Barrett ripping the government lawyer, asking questions that made it very clear where her opinions were. So here's my prediction. This is going to be a 6-3 decision. It will allow the circuit court judges, or the district judges, to do whatever the hell they want, which is effectively going to destroy the power of the executive. The argument of the government is why on earth can all these judges make nationwide decisions when they are not nationwide judges? They are in charge of their own districts. And of course, the arguments from the other side are, well, but that's the only way you can stop an out of control executive. No, it's not. You follow the process, district to appellate, okay, circuit, whatever you want to call it, to the appellate court, and then to SCOTUS. That's how it goes. That's the way the Constitution has laid it out. And yet, here we are. I can see Roberts folding like a cheap. Well, actually, you know what? They may allow Roberts to vote with Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Alito. Because I'm guessing I'm hoping those three will vote that, the district court judges are completely out of control and out of bounds on this. But Barrett, I don't trust her at all. Not even remotely. Actually, Roberts won't be able to go that way because, Gorsuch. I forgot about Gorsuch. Kagan, Sotomayor, Brett Jackson, Barrett, and Roberts. Yeah, those are the 5. Anyway, Thomas. That's who I forgot, Thomas. So, yeah, I see Thomas, Gorsuch, and Alito, and probably Kavanaugh voting to follow the Constitution. And I see Robertson, Barrett siding with the anti-Constitution people. And here's the thing. Amy Barrett is rapidly become the biggest disappointment in judges in all time. She is like David Souter Jr. And again, if it's something where it's because she needs, she's worried about her family, honest to God, she needs to get the hell off the court. And if Trump finds out about it, or they can find a conservative newspaper can find evidence of this, they need to put it up right away. It needs to be put out because this is the United States we're messing with. And if someone is trying to intimidate Justice Barrett, they need to go to prison for a very long time. If Justice Barrett is unable to do the job, she needs to step away from the role. And that's the thing is, what did you expect was going to happen? You just became, when you took this job, you became someone who is the center of attention for a lot of people who really are not very nice. What did you expect was going to happen? Just curious. So again, we will see. I am concerned. Let's just put it that way. I am very, very concerned about this. Because again, I can totally see those two throwing us under the bus. One real cool thing, just real quick here, quick hit, if you will. They have this article, and it's on Geek Tyrant. Jeremy Renner explains why he walked away from the Mission Impossible franchise. You want to know why? He became a dad. And he says, being a dad is my most important job. It is my favorite job. I will be dad. And he goes, there's no way I could have shot the Mission Impossible shows. Not like they are now. And that's the thing is they were setting him up to take over the franchise from Tom Cruise. They also set him up to take over the Bourne franchise from Matt Damon, if you remember. So Renner has lots of opportunities there. And of course, hadn't even mentioned the Marvel universe yet. But I applaud him on this. That is fantastic that he is willing to give up all that stuff, all that money, because he's dad. He's got enough money. He doesn't need any of that money. He's got enough money now. He could probably live the rest of his life on the interest. But I love it. I think it's a great thing. And again, good on him. All right. Sorry, I'm just cutting some fat here. Some of these stories I was thinking about talking about, and then doesn't really appeal to me after all. I do want to hit this one, but let me talk about. What was that all about? Let me talk about Canada first. So it's funny they're so worried about this Alberta thing. The Liberals are up there. They are so worried. We have another opinion piece in the UK Globe and Mail, or the Canadian Globe and Mail. Opinion: we wasted 60 years indulging secessionist fantasies in Quebec. Must we make the same mistake in Alberta? This is by a guy named Andrew Coyne. So I don't know. And this guy is, not only is he a raging liberal, I don't know why they would publish this. There is absolute bile in this. I mean, there is no attempt at any kind of civility. There's no attempt at any kind of quality of writing. It is just pure, unadulterated bile. Let me give you an example of this. First paragraph. Yes, it's absurd that a minority of malcontents in the richest province in the most blessed country on earth could be so marinated in self-pity as to persuade themselves that an adverse election result is sufficient cause to pitch the province and the country into the madness of secession. Yes, it's odious that the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, should now be attempting to use that same minority of malcontents as a weapon to extract concessions from the rest of Canada, even as she pretends to disavow their cause. But if we're honest with ourselves, we will concede that the blame for this situation rests mostly with us, the Canadian majority. So right there, liberal arrogance. We're the majority. The fault is ours not because Canada has treated Alberta particularly unfairly, though every province can complain about this or that federal policy. The notion that Alberta is systemically victimized is a bit of a statistical sleight of hand, a matter of substituting province for income and age as the explanatory variables in calculations of fiscal incidence. So he's trying to be fancy, using a lot of fancy words there. And the reason why is he's trying to come off as smarter than you, the reader. Let me put it to you this way. This guy, he opposes this because he says, well, I don't understand this. You know, they're not treated unfairly. They pay the same tax rates. They pay more. They may pay more because they are younger and they are richer. Okay, fair enough. But they talk about the emissions, the emissions cap, which I don't really care about that. But then he tries to equate this with Quebec. Now, Quebec wanted to secede, if I remember correctly, because they are very, 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 very different from the rest of Canada. They're French-speaking, at least a lot of it is French-speaking. They don't see, or they feel that their culture is so much different from the rest of Canada that they really don't think they have anything in common, that sort of thing. But the guy misses a very, very major point. He doesn't understand it, and it's because he doesn't want to. The reason why Alberta is considering, and I'm not saying they're going to, but the reason why they would consider leaving Canada, and I didn't say they were going to join the United States, by the way, so calm down, is because the government has gotten completely out of control. Ottawa has gone bananas. If you look at the policies of the Trudeau government and now the Carney government, it's more liberalism. Alberta is extremely conservative compared to the other provinces. So they like what we would call the Second Amendment. They like their firearms. They like to be able to own firearms. And right now, it is extremely difficult for Canadians to own firearms. And it's, they want to make it harder. Ottawa does. First Trudeau and now Carney. They want to basically take guns away from Canadians. Kind of like what happened in Australia. Well, the problem is once you do that, you have no method to defend yourself. And the Albertans, it seems, are the only ones smart enough to realize this. To realize that, hey, no, we're not real keen on giving away our guns, because if somebody does try and take our land from us, be it Ottawa or the Americans or the Soviets, Russians now, we want to be able to defend ourselves. So anyway, I don't understand how people don't get this. I mean, I do, I guess. But again, it's comical when you take into account this guy is probably, I'm guessing, he's either well-to-do or he's a college student. One of these pseudo-intellectuals. That would be my guess. Because he speaks this like he knows everything. He writes his article like he knows everything. And let's face it, that is kind of a common theme among pseudo-intellectuals and young people. They think they know everything. Okay. But again, it goes even, and again, I'm talking about the Second Amendment. It goes even beyond that. The federal government in Ottawa, for Canadians, has done everything it possibly can to try and take the ability of Canadians to live independent, or for the provinces to be independent of Ottawa on certain things. They've done everything they can to eliminate that. They have tried to do essentially what it would be like if we were in the United States and this happened. It would be the federal government saying, yeah, okay, you states want to have different taxation rates. Yeah, no more. No more. From going forward, you guys all you people are, regardless of what state, you're all going to not be able to own guns. You're all going to pay this amount of tax. You're all going to have the exact same environmental regulations. You're going to have the exact same limitations on speech. You're going to have blah, 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 so on and so forth ad infinitum. That's what it is. And the problem is Canada is way ahead of the U.S. or down that rabbit hole, right? So that's the problem. That's where it is. And that's why Alberta is like, no, we're done. We're out. Will it actually happen? Probably not. But if you want it even more close to home, it's kind of like what's going on in Washington, Idaho, or Washington, Oregon, and California right now, where the eastern and southwestern parts of Washington and Oregon and the northern and eastern parts of California want to get the hell out of those states. They want to not be there anymore, either by forming their own state or, you know, my preferred thing, which we talked about, is joining Idaho. And in the case of California, joining Nevada. It's because then you would actually have representation. Then you would actually have a group of, or a government, be it in Boise or in, not in Sacramento, right? Going over to Nevada, rather. You would actually have, Carson City, sorry. You would actually have representation that fits the people that are being represented. It's that simple. That's what Albertans are missing. And that's why I find this particularly funny because, again, this guy doesn't get it. So, all right, guys, this has been the second segment of the Chris Richman Show for Thursday, May 15th, 2025. Appreciate you joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I do. Tomorrow's Friday, so it's, you know, Friday Eve, I guess you could say. Hope you have a great weekend planned too. Next weekend? Weekend after is Memorial Day, right? I think. Anyway, the point is this is coming up. Hope you are having a great day. Again, thank you for listening. And as always, above all, God bless you.